What fact is ignored generously? If you edit your comment to add thanks for the gold kind stranger, dash. The kind stranger will probably never see that edit, but everybody else will, and will be annoyed. However, if you reply to the notification DM about the award, the kind stranger will see it for sure, and you would not bother anybody else. That's good wisdom. Experience is not equal to competence. Nearly every hand you shake has held a penis. But everyone has touched a vagina. C-section baby here, I have never touched a vagina in my entire life. C-section gang. Just because a movie or a book is good, doesn't mean you like it. And vice versa of course. Yes, I know it's trash, now let me get back to it. Prevention is more affordable than treatment. Being at a job for a long time does not mean someone is good at their job. Co-worker of mine used to say there is 10 years of experience and then there is 1 year of experience repeated 10 times. I like that saying. A lot of people like to mention the 10,000 hours thing, but fail to mention that you have to be actively trying to learn and better yourself for the majority of those 10,000 hours. That we all have confirmation bias. In my studies I found that I do not. Oh wait. I controlled for my confirmation bias. Turns out I have the smallest confirmation bias. No one has a smaller confirmation bias than I do in the entire academia, and people come up to me and tell me I'm the most objective researcher and I write papers with the most logical conclusions and most rigorous models. No bias. They have the bias. But I have no bias. My bias level is tremendously non-existent. It's me. I read that in his voice. The word tremendous will never be the same again. Sat. Human memory is extremely unreliable. We forget important details. We fabricate memories and convince ourselves that they're true. What we do remember is distorted to conform to our biases. When I was 5, my parents surprised my older sister and I with a trip to Disneyland really early in the morning before our flight. 4 years I had this memory of it happening and being so excited. They videotaped the whole thing, but we had lost the video for years. When we found it, I saw that I was actually asleep the whole time. I had completely made up the memory based on my sister and parents talking about it. Yeah, this is especially crazy to me. You can fabricate memories off of talking and thinking about it. Sometimes when you think about things like that long enough you can forget they aren't real. This is why witness testimony is extremely unreliable. True. Witness testimony is only really good if a lot of witnesses all report seeing the same thing. And even then, it's unreliable because of things like mob mentality. It also depends on what the person's witnessed. A person testifying that they saw a Jeep crash into a storefront is going to be much more reliable than a person testifying that the necktie worn by the driver was green. Humans overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what we can achieve in a year. The number of people who die after a war to consequences of war, hunger, disease, etc. are not counted in the statistics. Talking for France here, some people who died between the 9th and the 11th of November 1918 were not counted as dead these days. Because that would be quite awful for a family to learn that your husband / brother / son / father died the last day before the war stopped. Admitting to a mistake is not a sign of weakness. Bending over backwards to cover it up and pretending like it never happened is. It's in your best interests too. If you don't backquote on your mistakes, others will and may use them against you. Be careful which mistakes you own. Turns out bragging about your restraining orders doesn't get you a second date. That just because someone tells you something is a fact doesn't mean that it is. Make sure to do your research. I'll take your word for it. But how else am I going to write my essay on the surge of disinformation? Just because some people are naturally talented doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard. Hard work can beat talent when talent doesn't work hard, as my undergrad advisor was fond of saying. But when talent works hard, it's game over. The importance of getting 7-9 hours of sleep every single night. To add to this, 7 to 9 hours of sleep is not the same as a 7 to 9 hour sleep opportunity window. If you're giving yourself a 7-hour sleep opportunity window, you are not getting 7 hours of sleep. Probably more like 6. Valid point. Older doesn't always mean wiser. Wisdom is obtained from what you do with your time. It's not about how much time you've had. Just remember, Stupid people get old too. Just because it's legally allowed doesn't mean you're not a douchebag for doing it. You are not immune to propaganda. Fun word fact. The term propaganda originally referred to a Catholic Church committee for propagating the faith during the Counter-Reformation. This comment was brought to you by Big Etymology. Actually, propaganda comes from when a British person gets a good look at something. Had to give this post to propaganda before I understood it. Thank you for using it in a sentence, haha. Made the pun click. Mob mentality doesn't mean you are right. Giving birth to a kid doesn't make you an expert on raising them, nor do they owe you for being born. A lot of people need to realize this. Way too many need to. I'm willing to go as far as to say that most parents don't really grasp this, at least in some countries. Everyone is a huge hypocrite when it suits them, including me. The irony of this statement is that if you're ever in a situation where being a hypocrite would suit you, but you aren't a hypocrite, then you are a hypocrite because you said you would be but weren't. My brain hurts. Facts aren't opinions. France didn't stop executing people by guillotine until 1977. I ate an apple yesterday. Depends on the agenda of the people doing the ignoring. People only care about the facts that agree with them. Edit. Thanks for the gift, kind stranger. The government is trying to pass an anti-encryption bill that could strip away any and all privacy given to US citizens. Depending on enforcement, it would also annihilate the economy of literally any country it was passed in and completely cut it off from all international banking. Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. George Carlin. Great minds think alike, but fools rarely differ. That you should really get off your phone and go to sleep. Edit. Lol guys, I meant at night. But it's 4 PM and I have been sleeping until noon every day. Animals are much more brutal than people realize. We only see the cute cuddly side on the internet. Cheetah makes friends with a goat, gets more views than warthog gets eaten alive by lions and lasts a surprisingly long time while it's happening. Animals will eat you alive if they don't think you're a threat to injury. It's out of survival. Something bigger and badder might come along, and they won't have eaten anything. No, the leopard didn't kill the animal before eating it out of compassion. It just didn't want to take a hoof to the head while it was having lunch. I watched 3 lionesses hunt a warthog and its piglet up close once. 2 of the lionesses made themselves seen, while the third slid behind a small mound and snuck through the grass. The warthog stayed focused on the 2 lions in the open. The hunter got within a few feet and crouched low, ready to strike. Something alerted the warthogs and they took off like a rocket. The lioness, being the queen of the savannah, rolled on her side and started licking her paw. Hugely disappointing. Edit. I did get one of my favorite pictures during this experience. Almost clever girl. Quitting is often a good decision. Being rich doesn't mean you're great with money or someone who should be trusted with business decisions. Or smart. People love to assume that. Just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I hate you. And conversely, just because I agree with you doesn't mean I like you. Both of these points are excellent. No, they are not. But I still like you. I'm neutral on this and don't know you well enough to have formed an opinion about you. What makes a man turn neutral? Is it lust for gold? Power? Or were you just born with a heart full of neutrality? Tell my wife I said hello. Your neutralness. It's a beige alert. You have blinkers for your car so that you can tell other drivers that you're changing lanes. Fun fact. It's the law. And you need to put them on before you start to move lanes. Exactly. The purpose of a turn signal is to alert those around you what you are going to do so they can be prepared, not what you are actively doing. One of my biggest peeves. Turn signals indicate intent, not action. Most people over 20 already met a murderer at least once in their lifetime. I dated a murderer before I was even 20. Before he became a murderer, of course. Didn't murder you, did he? Being well known doesn't always make you popular, as you may be well known for pissing yourself in class. This really depends on how you define popular. Frequently encountered as one of the definitions of popular. Also, don't judge me for pissing in class. You can have lots of people know you, but not really know you. Like, your classmates could know you as the kid who pissed himself in class, but not care that you can make a really good burrito, or something. You don't have to be wrong for someone else to be right. Orcas and dolphins aren't happy in those aquatic parks. Baffled that this isn't intuitive or obvious to most people. The majestic and spacious ocean or a tiny tank surrounded by farty, loud creatures? It has been said that one of nature's cruelest jokes was to give the dolphin a permanent smile. That AB2 is not equal to A2B2. As a geometry teacher, I feel this my students all learned this last year and then promptly forgot it. Me, you need to multiply it out. Remember FOIL? Student. Me, from last year. Student. Me, demonstrates like this. Student. I have to do that every time. Me, yes. Forever and always. The rules of math have not changed since last year. Most people are not very smart. And even the smart ones are dumb sometimes. And dumb ones can get dumber. Extra dumb too. Dumbledore. Dumbledores. Don't open M. People spend the majority of their life chasing money without understanding how it works. Every single year, cruise ships dump 14 billion pounds of garbage into the oceans. Bill Burr's idea of sinking these sounds better and better. Concentration camps in China are still going on. This 12-minute BBC piece sums it all up very concisely. Oh, and they are supplanting the now imprisoned for thought crime Zuo husbands/fathers with single, ethnically Han Chinese men in their own households. They are being replaced. The Uo women have no say in the matter. Thomas Edison only patented ideas. He didn't invent them. Alcohol is poison. Just because someone has served in the armed forces doesn't mean they deserve respect or are a good person. You aren't supposed to stick Q-tips in your ears. You can't stop me. He wasn't telling you to stop. He just gave you a Q-tip. Sticks Q-tips in ears. La la la, I can't hear you, la la la. If someone is smiling, that does not mean they are happy. That colds and flu are caused by viruses, not by being cold or wet. Yes, though being cold and wet for a long time will suppress your immune system, making you more vulnerable to viruses. The constant quote of scientists reminding governments that we are good to go with renewable energy whenever they're ready. TikTok is literally Chinese spyware. I tell people this and they laugh. I tell my friends this and they call me racist. Being a celebrity does not automatically make someone a medical, economic, or political expert. Edited for phrasing, as too many people want to do Google digging to find celebs who actually do have degrees, as opposed to understanding what was implied in the original wording. Originally said celebrities aren't actually. Edited the second time, to change actually to automatically. I like that. Thanks. Going to college/university doesn't mean you are a genius. Adding to this, doing a trade or having a simple job in the workforce does not make you an idiot. Apparently, that you have to stop at the big red sign that says stop in California. It's true, the California roll is a thing. Oh no, it's not just California, it's everywhere that it's a problem. That the two-party system is inefficient and doesn't effectively represent the American population. Just because I hate Trump doesn't mean I loved Obama and or Hillary. Most consumer goods are made by either slaves or by people earning a fraction of $1 a day. We have enough money and resources to lift them out of poverty, but then our phones and shoes wouldn't be so cheap. Just because you are in the vocal minority it doesn't mean you are right. And on the flip side, being in the mob majority doesn't mean you're right, either. The human head weighs 8 pounds. Just because I don't believe in your theology doesn't mean I have no morals. Both Gandhi and Mother Teresa were terrible people. The United States of America does not have a functioning healthcare system. Human brain is super powerful, but not super smart. We can believe in optical illusions, succumb to subliminal deception or hypnosis. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and he had a painting of Bill Clinton wearing a dress on his wall. That I'm God. Weed is illegal in a lot of states. Water is not wet. The CPC. Laura Bush killed a guy. That most people who eat meat will never kill another animal bigger than a spider during their lives. You cannot awaken someone who is pretending to be asleep. Mice and rats can't throw up. People can change. We all have something we used to think or even said, but now we regret it cause we aren't that person anymore. Let people move on for the best. You've just created a huge paradox XD like, should I trust you without doing research on things other people say, or should I not listen to your comment because I haven't done research on what you're saying, and if I did do research on something someone said, should I research on the research I'm researching? Reality TV shows not really being all that real. That Trump is an idiot. That we should stay home unless it's necessary to right now. Coronavirus numbers are extremely inflated. Just because I don't want to hang out with you one time when you ask, doesn't mean I don't like you. Sometimes, I just want to stay home by myself. The introvert struggle.